What is going on today? LinkedIn, social media people. Love you all. I'm getting back from taking mom to the doctor. She had a checkup that she had to be to. And so I'm just getting started here, rolling it out. And I just wanted to let you know that you're here for a big surprise. And I just want to share this with you because we're going to do some epic adventures tonight. I'm going to take you through a process that you may not have ever seen before. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine in your mind's eye how amazing it will be to join this epic adventure? And I will even bring friends along the ride. So stay tuned. Be there. Don't go away. Welcome to the Pirate Broadcast, where we interview interesting people doing interesting things, where you can expand your connections, your community. Kindness is cool and smiles are free. And let's get this party started. Guess who? Guess who's in the house?
What's going on, my friend?
What's going on, brother?
Woo.
We're going to have some shenanigans tonight. That's all I got to say.
I know. First of all, I got to say hello to a few people watching us live.
Yeah.
Sorati, how are you? Mr. Baker, Lila Smith from Philadelphia, and Juventino de Silva Neto from Brazil.
What?
Yes.
Even Daniel Hall is in the house.
Even Daniel Hall's in the house.
From Maryland. Let us know where you're from, because, I did a post earlier, Gabe. You saw the post.
Yes.
How many friends can you create on a live stream adventure like this?
Oh, gosh. You know what? That's why I kind of commented back that because Mary Fane Brandt had written that if she had to name everybody, she'd have to write a book. And I said, you know what? I agree with that, because that's what I'm actually doing. So
I love that. I love that.
In my pockets, and hanging up in the closet. So yes, there's actually a book in the works for everybody who doesn't know, that this is going to be talking about that journey. So it's actually going to be two parts of, like, part of it's going to be educational content about doing live streaming and video, and it's going to be about the other part of the journey, like what you talked about today when you said you met Todd Hartley in person, right? I mean, that's what it's all about. And I was like, wow, that's a really great concept. And I was like, yo, that's what that's the idea had been for a while, is to, like, share that journey, because it's kind of changed a lot of things.
You know, the funny thing about it is we all have this preconceived notion about online and offline. And for myself, there's no difference. I know that if I grow a relationship and develop a relationship with somebody online, eventually, when the opportunity arises, and the opportunity typically does, or I produce that outcome a lot of times, I want to meet in person. I want to meet face to face. I want to be able to walk in the room and say, people know me when I'm walking in the room. You know, I look a certain way. I act a certain way, and the way I act online and the way I act in person is pretty much identical. So I just, I think it's awesome when we can get together and connect as well. So
no, that's totally so much truth, what you're just talking about there. So hopefully everybody, if you've had the opportunity to go on one of these journeys and go on do one of these shows yourself, like Oziel, who's watching. That's another gentleman who's been.
I want to ask Oziel. Do you remember the first time we met and where it was? And can you share it? Because it's an interesting story. So,
well,
what's up, Gabe?
That's right. Well, that's cool, because this is how the journey and everything, like, comes a lot of times full circle. because of Ozil, I met Don Terrell, he was doing. They were doing a show together,
Hmm.
and like that's where I kind of got to know Don, and me and him have been we've been very good about it, just chatting back and forth because of that relationship, getting to meet these people. So this is what it's all about whenever you're talking about going
Yeah.
out and taking the offline and online, because I mean this is how the journey started a little bit in meeting these people offline. So like you had Miss Lila Smith who was commenting a little bit earlier. Um,
Hmm.
that's how I actually start meeting people offline. I went to one of her. She had a workshop here in the Dallas Fort Worth area, and she invited me to go. I got to meet a lot of really cool people there. Um, one of them I'm going on their show next year, as a matter of fact. So it's going to be Miss Fanny
I met
Dunnigan.
Lila here in Arizona when she came to a LinkedIn Live event.
Yes. Um, and Miss, excuse me, Miss Callie there, who's actually watching as well. And you want to exactly what her comment is like, really spot on. Um, process. And many people never want to do the process because, again, um, the what many people don't want to do the process because they see the final product, and that's a that's the thing about live streaming. You know, um,
Ozil
yes,
said, we met at a networking event you and Marion hosted. This was over 5 years ago when we were hosting educational events for entrepreneurs. We've been friends ever since. True story.
true
I used to
story.
teach. I used to teach these. Well, I've been teaching courses for years. Actually, the first course, well, probably in 1995, I was teaching CPR and um, first aid. So that takes us back a few years.
Takes it back a few years. So um, let's talk a little bit about what we've got going on, what you've got cooking with the uh, Pirate Syndicate, because there's a lot of involvement going around here. There's a lot of people, hopefully, that are following the company page. You should go check it out.
Yeah,
It's a,
follow the company page over on the Pirate Syndicate
yeah.
because you and I have talked about it, and I think that when I talk about it with somebody, that somehow you know it gets out there. However, we all have to remind each other what needs to take place next.
Hmm.
And if you're not following the Pirate Syndicate, or you're not taking a free course on the Pirate Syndicate.com/courses, uh, it's easy access. And what our goal is, Gabe, is I want to teach people and I want to help people either do two things. Like Marissa said, either teach producers how to produce, people that are interested in the production side of the equation,
Hmm.
or the people that learn enough to say, I want somebody to do it for me. I want them to be able to go to a location and say, here, I want to do it. And that's what the Pirate Syndicate's all about, is producing shows and supporting events and
And
activities around that whole process.
right, and providing again the educational tools that people might want to take. So if you're interested in, for anybody out there who hasn't maybe taken the leap yet and might be intrigued a little bit, um, you know, I think we can post it in the link, the 10 considerations that you should um,
Oh, yeah, we
take to,
can.
that you should take a look at.
Did you get a chance to take a look at that?
Oh yeah, I actually got my result, um, because again, here's the thing, what that will actually do for you. So it'll let us know a lot of information about why you want to get started on the journey, right? I
Yeah.
mean, you go through the whole things of the who, the what, the why, and developing um, a basic idea of what you want to create as a host. And I really um, I really hope that people will take the opportunity to that are interested in doing the live stream thing, because then what happens is after you fill that out, um, that way we can reach out and probably construct a course outline for you to kind of take that'll like fit your needs, is like what you're trying to do as a creator. Um, and that's a really big one for a lot of folks who want to get into doing this, is like, I don't know where to start. Well,
Yeah.
doing this gets you started at least down the path of developing a strategy at some point, and then taking whether it's a mixture of free courses and a couple of paid courses, and putting those together, and then developing what you want to do as a live show host.
And here's the beauty of it, Gabe, is that we have the opportunity to take it as far as we want to take it,
Mhm.
and go as far as we want to go, because there's so many opportunities here. There's so many options that we can actually take and build. And like Ozil was saying, brands that win make an effort to create and deliver value both on and offline. Community is the new luxury, the new currency, always been, but now it's more important than others. And it's so right on, because the opportunities that we have, we can fit in between the online space and the offline space, and we can actually create and develop information and content that helps others. And my mission, I posted this the other day, is my mission in this world, and it took me years to kind of articulate this, is out. My mission is to help more people help more people.
Mm-hmm.
And the live streaming is the perfect example of how that takes place. Podcasting is the perfect example, because when you can educate and articulate an idea and a concept where somebody else can take it and use it to their advantage in their business to amplify their message and what they can share and the value they bring, it continues. It's like this flywheel that continues to grow. And back when I was in Houston with Ozil, training these courses that he mentioned, I used to, teach this concept like the traffic circle. You get things going, you add content to it, you continue to grow with it. And then it's a continuous cycle of improvement, iteration, and continuing to grow and expand that opportunity. So you really have to understand what it is that you can do with what you have, and then decide, do I like to produce, or do I like to promote, or do I like to show up on the camera and share this information out with the audience?
Right, and that's a big thing about it, is so there is a multitude of ways that you can actually be involved in this process. And that's the thing, you just mentioned them. So maybe it's not you being in front of the camera, but
Yeah.
maybe it's you sitting behind the seat there and controlling the show for somebody else. Or maybe it is you um, doing it all. Maybe it's you just, only wanting to be, like you said, a host, not having to want to do the whole work upon. So it just depends on what you want to do as far as
Yeah.
getting involved in this. And that's what we kind of
There's no right answer.
that's what we kind of want to kind of do, is to pare this down and give you again an outline to kind of go after your objective as a live stream creator.
Mm-hmm.
So if it is doing what we're doing now, and learning how to do this so that you can um, build a voice and an authority, then we walk you along those steps to get there. So a lot of things that have been asked lately, in a lot of the sessions that I've been putting on, is like, um, first of all, like, say, how do I create content? Good, we got a course to teach you how to kind of walk through the ways to do content, and what you're wanting to put out there. And then it's like, well, should I do a live stream or should I do video? Great, we got stuff for that. There you go.
In adventures, yeah. Wendy says, I see forward movement, Admiral. You're
Yeah.
glowing because you're growing. Great to see Gabe in the house. Absolutely. It always has a great feeling when you can do something with others.
Hmm.
when you can actually, help and work together, and it's just something that I really appreciate. And like you're saying, Gabe, you can decide what piece of the puzzle you like to work in. And for those that may not know you as well as some of us know you, what is it that you really thrive in? What piece of that puzzle do you really thrive in, and how can we help you grow?
So well, of course, for me, um, the magic piece for me is always people.
Mhm.
So I thrive in the ability to kind of talk to individuals and learn more about what it is that makes them special and unique, and really dig into there, because that's where I feel like a lot of the times our greatest resources are in either um, in learning and growing and developing is in
Mhm.
people. So that's where like I find it. So for me, it's being behind the camera, um, right here. So and actually holding these conversations, doing these interviews, um, but I'm also learning more about myself and learning how to thrive
Mhm.
um, away from the camera, and doing things like um, building solid communities, and then bringing together the other part of it is the part working behind the camera. That's the thing. I get a love out of all three of them, so it's very hard for me to
There's no
say.
one answer there.
Well, there's no one answer for me, but that's for me where I really work on it.
What I'm doing behind the scenes is I'm bringing up some screens here, and I'll be sharing these screens with us because one of the things that I want to make sure that I do tonight, and it's been requested many times, and this one of my clients, Nancy, asked specifically. There's lots of pieces of the puzzle that have to go into the production process, and one of the things that you have to go through in order to create a production is this idea that we have an opportunity to invite people in. We have an invitation, and we can actually invite people to join us in a process. And then we have to follow up. We have to actually create some follow up, and then we have to promote the show, and then we have to produce the show, and then we have to create the graphics and all of the things that go into that. So one of the ideas that I was looking to accomplish tonight was walking through each step of these processes, not to overwhelm you, but to just give you an overview of what it looks like in the production process. From because I offered um, an incredibly special offer for Cyber Monday, and I'm running this for the rest of the month, the rest of the year. And I've got a number of people signing up for this, and I just want to make sure that I put it out there because there's a couple of reasons. One, I want to give back to the community. Number two, uh, you couldn't hire the people to do all of these things all at once through the process that I'm describing to you, and have VAs do this for you, because there's two reasons. One, I'm growing the Pirate Syndicate, and and I've had these conversations. We're going to continue to be training in the Pirate Syndicate. We're going to be continuing to add value to the community, and we're offering these incredible deals and opportunities to make sure that people understand what it takes to actually produce a show, what it takes to actually produce an outcome. And we want to illustrate this and let you know that there are a lot of moving parts, a lot of pieces of the puzzle, and it's not necessarily for everyone. And if
No,
you're not someone that wants to do it, that's cool. There's other opportunities. And maybe you want to learn more about how to do it and do it well. And that's another option as well. So we want to give you the spectrum so you can pick from the menu of what you're looking to accomplish so we can help you best. So one of the questions I want to ask you, and specifically you, is what level of interest do you have in producing a show, producing as a producer in a show, or being behind the mic and just showing up and doing the outcome of the show.
Yeah.
So, and also the promotion. There's a lot of opportunity to promote and produce content around episodes and shows
And
as
see,
well.
that's another course that we're actually working and developing, because Friday night, that's going to be the theme of my show when I come on, is we're going to be talking about the two things: promotion over production,
Mm-hmm.
and why it's vital to understand how to actually build and promote your show. Um, and I want to teach a lot of content creators how to actually go out there and do this, because with me producing the daily live stream calendar, the guide that people can go and see all the live streams on,
Mm-hmm.
um, I see so many creators who are putting together these shows, um, what I like to say, leave a lot of meat on the bone, um, because there are ways that they don't maximize all the tools that they're being offered when they create an event. Um, and that's one of the things where a lot of creators who are either not as well established, or just learning to get here into the realm of creating live streams here on the platform, uh,
Mm-hmm.
to actually give them guidance in wanting to build out a better production and a better way to promote what they do, because that's a big one for a lot of individuals who get started on this, is that, um, how do you go out there and actually promote your shows, and um, how do you actually get it out where it's going to be effective in reaching an audience of
Yep.
where what you want to create. So that's one of the things we're going to go over on Friday, because it is a biggie that a lot of people do not take full advantage of. So I want to make sure that when these creators are going out there and doing this, that's part of the education process of what we're trying to bring to you guys, whether it's free or whether it's in some of the courses that you can sign up for, is
Yeah.
is giving you the opportunity to become better educated. And again, it's going to help you achieve whatever your objectives are in creating a show, whether, like you said, it's just going there and being the talking head, and just putting yourself out there for the outcome? Is it you standing behind the camera and building everything out for somebody and learning that process? Or is it the hybrid of doing both, of being there and producing your own show? That there's people that do that all the time. So it's just what you objectively want to do with your creating. That's why I said we can custom tailor, um, your plan to kind of get better as a live streamer. And that's what essentially that's what our mission is here, is to
Mm-hmm.
build it out, make these people, because again, it only elevates the level of how we are as creators here.
Well, you can really here's the point that I want to make for this. Um, and those are all great points, Gabe. And I think that by helping other people create better content, we're going to elevate the overall skill of people that are live streaming, right?
Hmm.
You can't help not but have that as an outcome. The other piece of the puzzle is it's really difficult not to learn anytime you teach. So you cannot teach anything without learning something,
Right.
right?
That's a big one.
So and people often get this confused is when they say, well, if I give it away, no one will want to buy it.
Hmm.
And that is completely inaccurate. That the reality is there's a lot of people that will take a course, they'll take a subject and never do anything with it.
Yeah.
And then there's people that will take part of a course and say, this is nothing that I'm interested in doing. Can you do it for me? And even though if they've paid for the course, they've learned what it takes, and they say, I don't want to do this, but I want you to do it for me. And when you say, I can't give it away because somebody will know what I do and how I do it, and they'll steal it from me. It's like,
That
there's a few billion people in the planet, and if you're thinking that way, you're thinking from a scarcity perspective, not an abundance perspective.
yeah. I mean,
And
I literally did a video Saturday night of actually showing people, and this was sort of late in the evening.
uh-huh,
Some people actually caught on, but they may not have. But I essentially showed people how you can actually use the power of an overlay to kind of um, revamp an old video that you done. So if you're doing repurposing of your content, right, and how you can actually take something that you've created, right?
yeah,
Um, I actually went live with this and
I
was
love Russ
teaching
Hedge, by the way.
teaching people like why it's very very powerful in what you can do as a creator. It can take your so let's just say you weren't well as well established. You didn't have your brand down. You didn't have a lot of things in
Uh-huh,
place when you put this together. Well, what if you still say that that content has value though, right? In what you want
yeah,
to create. Fine. Actually show them how you could actually do it using something like StreamYard and bringing in your own feed, building an overlay to go over your own feed. And if you record it and go back, you can repurpose your content with your new overlay. And it sits there and people wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. Um, so that was a great one for me
and
that
what did you learn by distributing that content? What did you learn about that process?
well it's a for me it was that letting people know that although uh, we might feel that this is giving away a secret. To me, it's actually handing somebody else another tool to go out there and
Mhm.
create. Yeah, and I will not sit back and say I'm not going to allow this person or this individual to use something that I can actually teach them because guess what? I learned that from somebody else.
Yeah,
Um, and just the idea that came, you know, that came to my mind in saying I want to share this with everybody who can watch and possibly learn of why having an overlay can make a difference. So I could take a 10. So here's the thing that I want people to understand. If I did an hour long episode, right,
uh-huh,
and I had already created this content, but I wanted to redo it because it was a really great interview that I had with I want to pick somebody from Lisa Fenton. So
yeah,
I had a really great interview with her, and I wanted to repurpose it.
yeah,
Um, so putting a different overlay on top of the video, and then going back and re-recording it, I've essentially created another piece of content that now that I can download. I could take the audio, go do something with it. I can take the video now, go back and have it cut down into micro content pieces with my new branding, whatever it is, and build upon it that way. That's to me, that's literally where the value lies in doing all of these creations.
yep.
Um, so let's see, hold on. I'm going to let's see if I even
Do you have it?
have. Yeah, I'm looking to see. Hold on. Because I did run it, like I said, on a Saturday night because I was actually working out here what I call the lab and was putting together just a few pieces of content that I wanted to kind of create. And that's when I was like, you know what, I want to share something um, that hopefully somebody can watch tonight and take away value. So if somebody was actually around that time of the evening,
Mhm.
they could actually go back there and hopefully watch it and say, you know what, I actually learned something from this. This is uh, really great because now I actually can understand how I can do a. So let's just see. Is this it? No, that was not it. So I'm pulling it up right now, and I'll
Okay.
bring it in. I'll bring it into the share screen, and you guys can see exactly um, what I mean because it was. I want people to learn this process and let them also understand that whatever you create, just because you've created it one way does not mean you really couldn't do it again. So here it goes. I'm going to bring this in here. Hold on. And I'm going to pull this in here. I'm going to share it on the screen here. And there we go. So for anybody that was watching the stream, and I'm going to forward it a little bit, but I'm going to show that people. So I actually took a stream again, folks, that was somebody else's content because I wanted to use it. It was somebody that I knew. So I have the audio muted just so we can kind of see what I was talking about. But
got stuff loaded in.
But when I went ahead and I started to put together
any video clip,
the video, and I wanted to share what I was actually
why I say this is
trying to
awesome
do with,
and why
with this with the idea was that people
using something like
that I've talked to who are now like
and why
wanting to learn how to actually
tool,
repurpose their content now and taking it in and
so
go,
I can make sure
how can I actually do this?
So you guys get the full effect.
That's going to make
here's
a difference. So
pull it back.
Let's see.
I just already using one simple
so if you guys see on the screen now, this is what I did. So I did it with a green screen because if I ever wanted to take this into a video editor, most video editors have a green screen effect that can take that photo and move it out of the way. Okay, so as you can see, this is her original. This is Sima.
Gone into a wider layout. Now I've created an overlay just to show
mute your video.
Okay, but I'm quite reflective these days.
Is it you can
And I
actually
think
do
that
something.
one of the
There
It's
it goes.
hard to hear you.
Okay, I muted it. There it goes.
Good deal.
Okay, so if you guys just paid attention really quickly, again, let me mute that out. So as you can see, this is her original background. This is a background, not an overlay, but it's a background. So I used it as an example. You can see because it's sitting on top of the video there. So there you go. So I switched it over to an overlay. You can see how you can repurpose another piece of content just like this by simply creating another. There you go. See, I moved it out so you can see what the difference was. Same audio, same video, everything else. So I used it simply as an example so people could see why when you have a piece of content like this and you wanted to go back and say, well, how can I actually transform this?
Yeah.
So it was using another overlay to build on top of it. And I built this specially just for the broadcast that I was doing.
Right.
And there was actually a point where I did it full screen so people could actually see it. But as you can see in what she was doing there, let's see if I can pull it up just a little bit further. I can't remember exactly what to see, but essentially I wanted the people to understand that your content, no matter when you created it, how you created it,
you can repurpose it.
You can always go back and repurpose it. So as long as somebody who you might have a editor or a creator or somebody that you know, and you wanted to take your content and go back there and use it again.
Yeah, I want to remind everybody that you and I are going to be on Russ Hedges' show.
Oh yes, tomorrow
at 4 p.m. PST as well.
So that's at 5
6 your time.
6 my time. Yeah. So, but that was essentially the whole idea of what I wanted to teach people, what you could actually do in taking a piece of video, again, that you want to kind of recreate, and how you can use a tool like StreamYard to bring it in, repurpose it, put a different sort of creative spin on it.
Yeah.
And then boom, again, once you go back there and run it in a record only session, guess what? It doesn't have to go live. You can go back, record it. You can download the video, go back there, send it to your editor, or go edit yourself. And now you can cut down 4 to 5 pieces of easy to use micro content with your new branding. Who could not use that?
I have a few pieces of content that I could repurpose.
Exactly, right? And that's the thing about it, is it what you have in your vault, if you're a creator and you've done this, again, it gives now everything that you've actually done in the past can be brought up to date. Now, the only thing you can't redo is the actual content itself. So if it was a piece that you were talking about, say maybe to March 2020, you're talking about COVID-19,
right?
But
I have to insert this caveat into that equation.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I know for a fact, Gabe, that if you broadcast for 30 minutes on average a show, even if the topic is unique to a time in history, there are pieces and bite-sized nuggets that you could actually cut out and use those as bite-sized pieces, nuggets of knowledge that you could share, and it's evergreen. So, I mean, I know that I could sit down for a month of Sundays and cut up copy and content and I could create a library that would blow your mind just in terms of things that have been said on the shows.
Exactly. And that's where you in the creative process of what we're talking about and what we want to teach people how to do that is to say that is to get that because a lot of people don't actually know what to do with their older content. They might be sitting on a YouTube channel that's maybe not getting the views you want, or it's sitting on your local drive and you're like, what do I do with it? Well,
and the other thing, here's the beauty of it, is when you work with someone like yourself or myself, you get the years of experience as a result of going through this process. And that's what a lot of people get overwhelmed by initially, is they thinking, man, all these things that have to take place. And what I wanted to really illustrate tonight is, the building blocks that you can add to the process. You don't have to take them all on all at once. And you can actually start with, I think you and I probably started right here, with this thing called smartphone.
Phone, yeah.
And
Russ, I got to tell you, sometimes it's shocking to see in some of the one-on-one coaching sessions that I've had with people and getting them into the broadcasting. We're trying to figure out what they want to do in the broadcasting world. That a lot of them already have tools just beyond their phones. I mean, I had a guy that actually he was a voiceover actor. So when he got on the call with me and I was listening to his voice, I go, oh, man, you got a great microphone there, man. And he's like, yeah, well, I was a voiceover actor, but he was trying to actually call me and say, should I be using my phone to create video content or should I be doing that? I said, man, you got a webcam, you got a spectacular camera. He actually had a really good scene back behind him. I'm like, my man, you ought to be recording your videos right here where you are with the technology you already possess. You didn't even have to go outside of the realm of doing it. And I get it if you don't have anything else to start with. Using an iPhone is great. You can use an iPhone to get started with. They have a lot of install programs that you can use, like iClips, that will help you put together videos, put captions in there, use backgrounds, edit it down. You can use iMovie to kind of add music, to go all of these other things that you can do on your phone. It's a magical little studio that you actually possess in your hands.
And it's an incredibly powerful one too.
Exactly. To get started with, but sometimes I'm again shocked when I go back here and I'm meeting people and I see that they already have a lot of instruments in place, and I'm going, what you need, my friend, is your strategy. Get that started and then get your journey off and going, because you already have you have the tools in place, man. I don't know what the hesitation is, except maybe.
Well, it's the one thing. It's the perfection syndrome. It's the idea that I need one more thing before I could start. It's one more thing before I could start. It's like, no, if you have a phone in your hand, you can start. That's all you need. That's how I mean, I was uploading live videos when LinkedIn first released videos, and I would record them, and sometimes they would upload upside down. They would load upside down, and it was like, are you kidding me? Come on.
So
I would record them, and it was crazy times, and it's just taken years of adventures and, testing and trials and going through this process to get to where we are today. So.
Well, this is for me where I'm saying it's an exciting time to be a live streamer right now, because at times when you were getting in, even when I was getting in, technology has jumped leaps and bounds in a short amount of time that I've been a creator, and I can only imagine what it must feel like from when you started to what you see now, and in the hoops that you had to jump through to get things patchwork together to create. And now for creators, it is simply the click of certain buttons in your hands, or even doing something and using a tool now that like StreamYard that helps kind of make the process a lot easier for you. It's that's for me. That's where I tell a lot of individuals who are wanting to take the leap, but like you said, they get the procrastination in there. They put the perfectionism in front, that they need these sort of things, and I have to really coach them out of it, saying, you don't need those things.
No, you don't need those things. So I created a course on the Pirate Syndicate called Creating a Podcast for Free. I think it was what it was called. No, it was actually called Create Content with a Podcast. Here, I'll show it to you.
Yeah, why don't we pull up the site? Let's look at
this. Let's get this going, because I'm pretty excited about this, Gabe, and I know that we can actually create some incredible value with this.
Yes.
So this course is a pretty simple course. And for anyone that hasn't joined, I always say at the end of my podcast, hey, join the Pirate Broadcast. And you know what? I've probably never explained exactly what the Pirate Syndicate is. They understand what the Pirate Broadcast. And just to frame this, my idea, I actually worked in corporate America for a lot of years. Yeah. In fact, I worked for probably 20 years in corporate America for companies that no longer exist. So I've been a member of the corporate orphanage more than once.
Yes.
So just put that aside. And I actually had a CIO tell me once, he actually took out 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, and he drew a square on it. And he says, Russ, this is the organization. And then he drew a circle on the outside, and he says, this is you. You're outside of the box. We need to get you inside the box. And it's like, and at that point, it's like, I'm a pirate. I got my own rules. I can do my own thing. And I also tied that in with kindness is cool and smiles are free, because you don't know where people are. You don't know what people are going through. So be kind, share a smile. It's the one thing that you can give away. They'll always come back to you. So with that being said, this is the accumulation of all of that experience coming to fruition and helping more people help more people. And I think it's really important that I premise it that way, because we have an opportunity to actually generate a lot of enthusiasm around that. Mm-hmm. But you can come into the Pirate Syndicate. If you're not signed up yet, when you go to access a course, except the 10 considerations, I don't think there's any, you didn't have to sign up for that, did you?
No. So you can just
just take the course.
You can just,
and that's the 10 considerations. And that's a series of questions and answers. And you actually get a download PDF, correct, Gabe? Mm-hmm. That'll actually, you can collect this information in advance, bring it together, and then it will send you a PDF that says, here's some things that you put together. Here's a roadmap for you. Mm-hmm. But the reality is these tools, a lot of this stuff is because people ask me questions. They ask me, hey, how do you do X, Y, and Z? And so what I wanted to do was I wanted to share, I wanted to present this idea that you can create a podcast for free. Once you get past the phone, you can actually create a podcast for free. And I wanted to share this with you to actually put these pieces of the puzzle together. So lead generation roadmap, creating a podcast is in my opinion, the best way to build relationships, create friendships, and actually grow your business. And all of my business right now is a direct result of the relationships that I've built and the friendships I've made through live streaming.
Yeah. And here, I second that notion that's what it is, and why what we're talking about here, and how to actually use these tools that we're showing you how to develop a way to populate some your lead generation. You want to be able to do this and not have to do so much work in prospecting and reaching out to potential clients. That's the hard part about it, is spending all of that time digging and digging and digging and digging and digging, when a lot of the times it's something like this where you can actually bring clientele to you.
Well, it's called top of mind as well.
Yes.
You know, it's you build authority, you build visibility, and all of a sudden you are the one that is speaking out on the subjects, and people say, "Oh, Gabe must know what he's talking about. He's always showing up. He's always helping. He's always giving great advice. If I need help and I decide to create a podcast or a live stream show, I'm going to talk to Gabe about what he can do to help me out. He'll give me the advice I need and he'll help me out."
Yeah.
And that's the thing about, developing your roadmap and developing a strategy around it. And that's what a lot of people get a little confused and frustrated by, is I don't know where to start. I don't even know what to do first. So that's kind of what I want to have unpacked. And it's one of the things that we have an opportunity to do, is figure out who you want to talk to. Who do you want to have a conversation with? Who do you want to be able to, I like to have fun. I like to generate, great conversations with people that I like hanging out with. Gabe and I have had many conversations, and all of a sudden, it's an hour later and we didn't even really cover what we wanted to cover. It's like, that's the beauty of business. I was on a phone earlier with RJ, and she and I, she does ninja bots. I'll screw it up. I apologize, but you know who I'm talking about.
She's been on the show a few times.
Yeah, she's been on the show a few times. She's an awesome individual, and I always get along with her back from the Blab days.
Yeah.
But the perfect scenario is that hang out and decide who you want to hang out with and connect. And some people call it nailing your niche. Some people call it, creating your avatar. It's like, who do I want to hang out with? Who do I want to have fun with?
Right.
And just be human. Just be a human. So get some clarity around that, because that helps drive the, identifying your wish list, the people you'd like to hang out with. And it's like, okay, let's form a few ideas around that, and then deploy the outreach to actually start connecting with those. And Gabe's a master at this. Gabe puts me in the dust. He's like, I can't even keep up with Gabe. I have to slow down, and I have to take a nap while Gabe is still running.
So part of that is in like casting out your net as wide as possible, but doing it very strategically. So that's where as we develop a lot of these other courses and building into lead gen, I think that's where, like, the next course should be in delving deeper of how you can actually do this. So building and targeting your specific audience. So once you have a niche in place, now it's time to, how do I get there and attract, like, where the next step is, and engage with these people. So I provide tools and advice that have been proven to not only reach the audience that you want to reach, because here's my thing. There's a lot of creators out there that have, let's just say, more followers. They have more people. They have a wider cast of what should be a network, but yet, because I know how to specifically target groups and individuals and ways to kind of get in there, I'm able to get in there a lot faster than a lot of these other people, just simply by doing that. And
by using advanced techniques.
Techniques. Look,
Gabe
folks,
certified.
exactly. I mean, I'm going to tell people there's an actual tool. So if you want to sign up for the course, I'll reveal that tool. But there's an actual tool that will actually tell you which hashtags would work best for the content you're creating,
Mm-hmm.
and then how many people it actually follows. So if
Yeah.
you go there and you go, what hashtag should I use, right? And because here's the thing, when you create a post, a video, whatever you want to do, those hashtags will populate that post, that video, that live stream inside of those hashtags. And guess what? When you have a hashtag that has over 200,000 followers on there,
Mm-hmm.
even if only half are active in that hashtag, that's a bigger net you've casted than you could have without even actually doing a lot of work. It's just how you specify how you want your content to go out there and reach.
And that's the thing. There's strategy for starting a podcast. There's a strategy for promoting a podcast. There's a strategy for developing and growing a podcast. And all of these elements all come together to develop, this attract and engage scenario. This attract and engage scenario that I'm talking about right up here. It's really about how can I that actually doesn't show up, does it? Does it show up there? Yeah, there.
Yeah, there it is.
There it does. I got to get on the right screen. I got too many screens here. But the point we're making here for you is that there's a lot of this stuff that you can actually work to improve on. And it doesn't have to start day one. You don't have to wait for everything to be in place. You don't have to wait till everything is just right. It's like the voiceover, contact that you mentioned.
Yeah.
It's like you're 95% there. The only thing you need to do is turn on your mic and your camera.
Yeah. So, and that's where, so for a lot of people who are getting, and the reason we're really pushing this a lot, just to pull back the curtain a little, is because LinkedIn has now allowed a lot more creators to come out here and start doing live streams. I know I have my ear to the ground, so I'm seeing all of these individuals out there trying to say, I want to create a show. I want to get started. How do I start? So essentially aligning them with, first of all, taking the 10 considerations and then building a roadmap for you to start developing an education path so that you can get out there and start creating. I mean, you can look, this is what I tell people. You can go out there and do it yourself. Great. That's fine. You can go out there and do it. You don't have to spend a dime. You don't have to do any of that. But that's like you saying to yourself, I could probably do my own, heart surgery if I tried, or I could actually operate on my leg if I tried. But wouldn't you want to trust a professional who's put in the time and the effort and actually knows how to actually go in there and do it and do it very well? So,
and I have another scenario. The best coaches hire coaches.
Hire coaches.
and anyone that, anyone that's in the coaching industry should be sharing their authority and their topics and their information freely to the degree that they can grow an audience. Because if no one knows you, no one will buy from you.
Yeah.
That's a rule. I think it's like, Einstein created that rule or something,
Yeah.
So, but here's the reality. My good friend, Ronald Earl Wilshire, and Oziel knows Ron, is attract and engage is always better than chase and convince.
Yeah. So
if people can, see you, they can hear from you, be heard, be seen, be heard, and build authority. It's a simple equation.
Right.
And I just continue to grow on that. And I think video is the quickest way of doing that. So,
yeah.
But like you said, Gabe, getting out of your own way is the most critical piece of that puzzle.
Right. And
deciding.
That's all we really want to do is guide you down again, whether the path is learning from maybe because you're more of a structured learner, learning through some of the courses and doing that thing. Or if it's like you're a very adept self-learner, you know, that's another way. I mean, here's a gentleman right here in the comments. There you go. That's the guy right there. I would love to bring him in and figure some of the things that he's gone through as a producer himself, because there's a lot of things where, as producers, we want to fill the gap where people are falling off on the level of education and getting them to a point where that's where they want to create.
Yeah.
And
let us
guys,
know if you're open to jumping on, Tim.
But essentially, that's where I find it. What we're trying to do is to be able to fill those gaps from either the very beginning stages to the intermediate stages of where you might be until where you want to go and actually grow into an advanced level of creating as a live streamer or as a producer, and going into those steps. And those are huge, because again, it takes acquired knowledge. It's almost like becoming a master electrician. I say you have to learn the steps of understanding. There you go. Tim's saying he'd jump on here. But getting the process and getting the people to a point of where they want to do. So that's the great thing of where I tell people to reach out to me and Russ, and schedule a quick 15-minute conversation.
Yeah.
And let us get you started down a path of where we think you should head down this path. Because here's the thing, I've actually had enough of these sessions lately, where I listen to somebody talk, and in listening as an active listener, and go, oh my gosh, you already have a concept in place.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, do I? Yes, of course you do. You essentially, what you've been telling me, you already know what it is. Now what you need to do, and what we help you do, is now, how do you go out there and start developing it and putting it out there? So I'm like you. I do have shared information that I give to individuals after they come on there. I record their Zoom sessions. I go back, let them go use it, and if they want to go back to re-listen to what I was telling them about the strategy, send them a quick PDF with a few things that they can actually use, and then at that point send them on their way of whether or not they're going to develop this even more. And I think that's where using the expertise that you have in not only live streaming and creating, but as someone who's actually put together courses and teaching coursework, you understand it from the level of an educator, of how now I can connect individual A and give them what they need to get out there and doing it. Because for me, it's seeing people like sort of take off and grow into really great things. Man, to me, that's where I know that's where I know where my path is and where my passion lies is in doing that. And these are, again, here we go. So you actually have lots of courses on actually how to use Dub, which is, if you haven't ever used Dub before, man, it is a great tool that allows you to again.
And they do have a free account.
Yeah, there's a free account. I know. I used a free account when I first started. And man,
and there's a free account with Calendly.
Yeah.
And there's a free account with StreamYard. And there's a free account with Spreaker. Yeah.
Yeah. And all these.
And so the way that these come together are incredibly unique, and there's more to it than this. However, and I'll go into that, but with these 4 programs, you could create a live stream and a podcast.
Could you?
Yeah.
Could you ever?
And here we want to bring in, I wish I had my soundboard up.
Oh,
I need Tim. What's going
super
on, brother?
producer.
Hello, gentlemen.
Tim.
It's an honor to be in such high esteemed colleagues' presences this evening.
This is
Well,
amazing.
right back at you, brother.
Yeah.
Right back at you.
How are y'all?
We're doing great.
We're doing well. Thanks for jumping in, man. I really appreciate you contributing to the cause here.
Yeah, I'm happy to break whatever I can.
Well, here's the thing. Let's be honest. So he's being modest, of course, but Tim's had courses that he's actually gone out there and he's actually taught individuals, again, kind of like what you have, Russ, in developing ways that people can go out there and start creating their own shows, their own content. And here's the thing: what all three of us do as producers in putting this together, we're actually creating our own market for ourselves, because now we're putting more and more individuals out there who are doing this, who are going to go reach an XY community, and they're going to want to know how they learned, and they're going to go back and reference how did you get started in this? Well, Russ taught me, or Tim taught me, or Gabe set out and got me started down that path. And that kind of is what we're doing, is developing that next wave of creators. Now, we've all had our share of creators who have gone out there and doing their own thing, but there's just like anything, it's cyclical. Now there's more people coming into the fold, wanting to know, wanting to learn, and how are they going to learn? Well, of course, with the individuals who actually have the skill sets to teach them and educate them. So
they're going to hire Gabe, and they're going to hire Russ.
And they're going to hire. Well, I would love to hear. I would love to hear.
Well, what's your experience, Tim? Share your experience, because we haven't had an opportunity to talk as much as Gabe and I have had conversations, and I know that there's no right answer. There's no one solution. So I'm kind of interested to hear your perspective on it.
Yeah. So for me, and for the people that have taken my courses and that I've coached, I spent a ton of time on engagement and building relationships with people that show up in the comments, because I often say, how many people do you actually know that show up in the comments of your show, especially those people that come back time and time and time again, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, so the new show I'm doing with Carol Ulker, Showing Up Perspectives with Cancer, after every single show, I send an audio message to every person that shows up in the comments. Mm-hmm. And there might be dozens of people that show up in the comments, but I send them an audio message thanking them, maybe saying they might have shared something about their unique perspective on cancer. And it starts a conversation, right? Mm-hmm. And I've done that on other shows as well, and going back and responding to the comments afterwards as well, and just building those relationships, because it's those relationships. Oftentimes, I'm sure you guys talk about it as well, right? The know, like, and trust factor, right? People are gonna know you, mm-hmm. like you, and trust you, especially as you're consistent with your live shows, mm-hmm. and build relationships with people. I would also say that, especially when I was working on Brian Schulman's Shout Out Saturday and What's Good Wednesday shows, mm-hmm. when we bring people live on screen together, right? I find those shows, you do make an impact with people who are showing up in the comments, but if you are on screen with other people, those are going to be the people that you're going to make the biggest impact on, because you're actually having a conversation with them live on screen together.
Right. And it builds collaboration. I mean,
exactly. Like right here, right now.
Yeah.
It builds collaboration in so many ways. I mean, think of what happens when these communities and these individuals start getting out there and start putting their own spins on what they do because of something you help them learn by simply instructing them with a few pieces of information, because they see what you're doing, and they're the curiosity factor, and they go, I want to do that. How do I do that? And then that's where we kind of guide them into doing it. I mean, I just think, here we go. You and Veronica Jean have a show, right? That you guys.
Yes, and thank you for showing up to watch that.
That you guys do together.
Yeah.
How do you think that developed? Again, stemming through conversation, showing up, and what essentially what I've called it here is, in the business world, they refer to that as lead generation. You're finding individuals simply by engaging with them through what you've already created here. So that the entity that Brian has created has spurred a lot of other individuals going out there and doing. I mean, Mark Lee does tons of shows now. I'm seeing him.
Yes, he was in my live streaming course as well. That's how I first met Mark Lee.
So seeing him pop, I know these individuals because I get to actually populate them every day. But I see these people, and I've seen them before in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where I understand that for a lot of individuals who start out as commenters, then all of a sudden start showing up as regulars, and then at some point the bravery for them to take the courage to get on the live camera, and then all of a sudden once it's done, well, LinkedIn has been issue. Don't get me started. We'll get to that. We'll get to that another day. But it is working. But I think after a while, for certain people, because Daniel's comment is coming.
Yeah, I was just gonna say Daniel's lurking in from the snuggle den.
Hey, Daniel. Great to see you.
So what he's doing is going to be a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show.
That's another.
Yeah,
we're gonna go dive.
We're gonna go dive into that one day. So, but essentially, what you guys have experienced and what we've gone through, this is the full circle part, because I'm not here for. I don't go and become an engager in Russ's community in his show, right? Then finding people like Nancy, who now was one of the top 50 people, having her show up in my show, DJ, and people like that show up in these communities that we help bring out and develop and get them started in sharing their voices, and then what they go out and do out there. Like I said, we're building our own clientele simply by bringing individuals like this. So I'm like you two guys, if there's somebody there that is a constant, somebody that's a constant viewer that comes in there and hey, give them the recognition. Without their support, what are you?
Yeah. That's why we show up. That's the whole point of it. It's like, if I can't help somebody, even if it's just one person, I mean, what's the point? It's not about me. It's about the opportunity to share something that I've experienced, over the years, to be able to, shed a little piece of hope, a little light, and maybe some positive energy in some.
Well, that's part of it, right? So that's part of it, and then it's the other part of bringing in the educational value that we actually have. So again, taking our experiences of how we've actually learned this process, and really bringing together the information in a way that's more focused and structured, so that people can actually come in here and learn it, right, without having to do all of the other stuff that we had to learn through trial and error. That's part of that. I mean, yeah, that might still happen, but if we can limit the opportunity for something like that, like teaching a whole course. I mean, literally, this is something that I hopefully you guys take into account. But doing a whole course on troubleshooting, what you do when you're on a live stream.
Yeah. How do you troubleshoot a live stream?
How do you troubleshoot a live stream? What happens when you start hearing echoes, and you're going, I've never heard that before. What do I do? I've never experienced that. Or in some cases, your guest drops off. What do you do? How do you?
Or sometimes
when
the host drops off,
what do you?
What do they do?
So
you better train your guest on what to do ahead of time.
Now, if I just happen to drop off, just keep talking.
Exactly. But
like Lisa says, stay calm.
Oh, there you go.
Keep your hands and feet inside the car at all times.
Exactly. So the same way they teach
panic.
you, the same thing they teach you on a plane whenever you take off and fly.
Yeah.
That's
just
where
breathe.
I would want to teach people that as they're stepping out here into the streaming world and putting together these things, how to actually troubleshoot issues that show up here. So again, simply things like, I'm having lag and then there's pixelation.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You're probably streaming too high. Your video can't render, so you probably don't have enough upload speed. Why don't we go ahead and change the resolution down?
Yeah.
Well, I had it set on 1080. What does that mean? Well, you're probably not set on to stream
Your
1080p.
machine can't keep up.
Why don't we drop down to 480 and let's see from there? And then we'll go up to 720, see if we can. So changing small things like that will actually do, and then taking things like an account of teaching people, again, certain things that they can actually do. So, hey, say speed test your internet speed if you're streaming from somewhere you've never streamed before. So if you're doing it mobily or you're out and about and you're going to be streaming from somewhere else, hey, check those sort of things, because those are big factors in how your presentation is going to come across. And again, big things are, like I said, the audio. I mean, you could have the best. Look, I promise you could have the best camera, crystal clear, like so beautiful. You could have the best background in there. You could have the lights. You can have all the exotic things. But if your audio doesn't work,
that's because you have to remember to put your oxygen mask on first.
I'm essentially
That's
just doing
the
this.
most important tip right there.
There's Mary right there.
There's Mary. We were talking about you earlier, Mary.
Yeah,
Hey, Mary.
I was talking about you earlier.
But essentially teaching a course on how to actually do these things. I mean, look, I've done countless live streams, and then when I had on a guest a few Fridays ago, we were having issues where the stream kept kicking him out. We were actually going every 3 minutes. He was getting kicked out. So at that point, I messaged in the private chat there, try to open an incognito window. Let's see if that'll a troubleshoot. And it actually did. It worked. Once he came back in and used an incognito, we didn't have the issue anymore for the rest of the stream, and we streamed for an hour and a half after that. So taking ideas like that and teaching individuals how to troubleshoot issues, I think that's a whole course. Yes,
there is no shortage of courses we can actually teach, Gabe.
Yeah,
I mean, all of these little elements, and here's the secret: is a lot of the courses that I've developed over time, or a lot of things, I will just actually record in a dub video and send it to someone to say, "How do I do this?" You know, and I used to give away a lot of, like a Canva tutorial on how to update your LinkedIn header, or your Facebook header, what the size was and what it needed to be so you can actually create it. And those are things that you could do simply to build engagement and opportunities to have a conversation around that.
Right.
So one of the things that I wanted to do tonight, and I know that we've, this has gone way over time, but hey, I'm having a great time. And Tim, I would love to get your feedback on this, because one of the things that I start out in my engagement process is dub. I'm a huge fan. I'm actually creating a certification program for dub. I'm a corporate trainer for dub, and a lot of people, that know me know I appreciate and use dub all the time. However, there's a lot of advantages of using a tool like this to actually book your guest and book the process. So that's, and I use that in conjunction with Calendly, because Calendly allows me to actually ask a few questions in the process and actually gather that information into a booking opportunity. And then once that calendar link is scheduled on my calendar, because it connects with my Gmail account, and so then I can actually, once I create the StreamYard account or the event, then I can take that link and then drop it in the calendar event in Gmail. And that allows me to actually update the individual that's going to be on the show. So that's a simple process for someone that's been doing it. For someone that isn't familiar with it, it could be rather overwhelming. So any thoughts or suggestions on that, Tim? Simplify it.
We actually use Calendly as well for the Tim and Jim show and for showing up perspectives on cancer. And we have it integrated with Google, and out of full disclosure, Jim handles all of that. So I'm not directly involved in it. At least on the Tim and Jim show, I do use it with showing up perspectives on cancer. But that taking that one piece and automating that process, eliminating those steps of going back and forth with email, how many times, right? It
eliminates that a lot.
Yeah. And then you can, ask those questions like, for your guest bio, you can have them upload a headshot. If you need to ask them what the topic's going to be, if, whatever questions you have for them, you can, get that information right up ahead of time. Mm-hmm. And it just makes the process so much simpler.
Yeah. So I just kind of wanted to show this an example of what that looks like. So when I invite people to the show, I go through this process, and you can actually see the show. I'll turn the audio off, but then you can actually. Oh, this is the wrong one, but I brought the wrong one up. But you can actually. Let me go to book it. Become a pirate. Yeah, here we go. So once you bring this up in Dub, and you can get a free account, book your day to be a pirate.
Hey, it's right? Wes Johns with the Pirate Broadcast. And
nice introduction here. People. So you can book your day. Then it comes to the page. And then you pick the day that's available. I got 1 day left in December here. And then you can actually pick that day. Fill out the information. You're going to book it for 7 a.m. Confirm. Fill out your information. I'm going to talk about digital and social media. Next step next. I kind of wanted to share this entire process so we can all kind of get together. I'm not going to type and spell though. So,
yeah.
But then here's a brief bio. Share one personal thing. So you can actually do this, and I can schedule an event, and it may give me an error because I didn't fill out all the information.
Yeah.
Like I can do that.
So here's this is what I tell about people about using these scheduling tools. Because I've used Calendly before. I use Acuity. They're very, very similar in the processes of what you can do. But creating these intake forms, here's what you get out of it as a host, right? Or as a remote producer, and this is your job to kind of get this information. You get the information from your guest. Who better to tell how good they are, what they're about than themselves. You can actually bring in these intake forms to kind of for them to upload profile pictures, right? So you can say, hey, I need a picture that we're going to use for your promotionals. And you can actually put in there things like saying, hey, I have this is what I love as well. You can actually say, hey, I also have an email list. Can I add you to my email list? And if they sign up for it, and it's a really quick option. You can add the option yes or no. They choose either one. And guess what? Once you're done, right? Say you have a clientele list that you've built over because you've had over 50 interviews. Well, now you have 50 people. You can go in there and build email marketing campaigns using things like MailChimp and everything like that to start reaching out to individuals.
And did you see what what I did on the confirmation page? I took it to a landing page that allows me to actually capture, get access now, become a pirate. Welcome to the pirate crew.
Yeah.
Communication, it's like, okay, here's what it is. You can actually fill out some information here.
Yeah.
If you want to book a day, strategy session, it's $150. It's like, okay, here's an upsell.
That's your funnel. That's how you build those into these things.
That's how you start. And like I said, all of these pieces aren't required, but they're all part of the process of growing and evolving and expanding your brand and building your authority.
I'm just throwing this out there, but we need to actually put together a producer show so people can understand what it's like to be these tools that we're putting together here. These are the valuable processes that we use to not only find our guests, but also build out a lot of the information in our processes that we're going to use to host, to actually be a producer for a host or whatever, or however it is. So this is vital because this is information, and I
all of these little tweaks add up too. So Tim, is this something that you're familiar with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I don't think so. This is really good. I love this conversation. I love geeking out with other people who are also in the producing world. I think it's important to think about these things, like these different tools, because there are so many pieces that go along with creating live streams, producing live streams, hosting live streams, all the different components. It can take a lot of time, and by automating some of the pieces where it makes sense, it's important to do that. I think so. These conversations are important, and I thank you for joining me among you legends this evening.
Well, even one of the things that you were mentioning on my show, because I couldn't remember it, but they have things like Stephanie Liu has an automated tool to use to building run a show. So as a producer, if you wanted to go in there and build it out, it's a pretty easy to kind of way to edit a template to build out your run of show of how you wanted to do it. So let's just say you're the executive producer. You got somebody who's just going to be a showrunner, and you wanted to say, look, these are the scene switches that I need. These are the banners that I'm going to use. These are the overlays that you need to pull in, or the backgrounds we need to change and to do. Building all that in and saying, not only that, but letting them instruct them. These are the times we're going to have the Q&A sessions, right? These are where tools now that we're StreamYard and Restream are adding to what we do, and building things like pinned comments and starred comments now makes our job as producers so much easier, because then you can actually cue the audience who's there engaging. If you have questions for our guests, please start it by putting Q, blah, 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 blah. And then you actually
run a show.
Yes. And so at that point, if you're doing that as a producer or a showrunner, you can go in there, hunt down those questions, pin them up. And then when it comes around to the Q&A session, here we go. For example, we got questions for Mr. Tim here. Let's pull up our questions. And then you can actually have the individual who's running your show pull them up, and then instant engagement. And it makes what we do.
In fact, even before that, I use ClickUp. So we have a structure of all of the components that have to be thought about.
Yeah.
Gabe always talks about this, and I've really never dove into this subject very deep. But having even a spreadsheet, have a checklist, have something that you can actually follow a chain of custody, that that, okay, the notification went out, the bio came back, the headshot is there, the graphics are completed. All of these components are really in place and ready to go. So you can actually help the guest be comfortable with the process.
Right. And this is where the cool tools like using Calendly, you can set it up to where you can email reminders, or if you set it up even more advanced, you can send out text to the guest to say, hey, reminder, you're coming on this show tomorrow at this time. So believe me, it can get hectic where there's a guest and like, oh my gosh, I forgot I'm going to do that. Well, if you give them if you send those reminders out prior 24 hours, 12 hours, send it to the text that you're going to be on the show. Then you're like, okay, give me confirmation that those were received. You will receive confirmation that those were sent out. And then boom, you can sit back a little bit more comfortably that when it's time to go in there and do a quick sound check, that your guest will be able to show up.
Yeah. And here's an example of that whole process that you talked about. So, Gabe, we talked about the identity process. Identify who you're going to actually start a conversation with. You mentioned that you have to create a broad net, a broad, expansive net to actually start drawing interest and finding out, okay, who's responding, who's reacting, who's resonating with what I'm doing. And then once you identify that, then you start engaging them. Like you said, Tim, engage with people in the conversation, engage in the comments, follow up. That's where I think, is going to be really amazing with Daniel Hall's Peekaboo, the ability to quickly build a list of people that you can engage with. That's like mind bending, secret sauce. That's nuclear nuggets of knowledge right there. So then you can actually go in and qualify those individuals by some questions that exist in Calendly. You can actually book some people, and maybe you want to book them in advance to have a conversation to see if they can actually show up on camera, their mic is okay, their environment is okay. I live dangerously. There's a lot of people that are on my show that I have never met before. I've never seen them before. And I just, it's like, hey, it's just my style, but that's not for everyone.
You're really brave because I've taken a few of those. Right.
And I have no issue doing a show by myself either, Gabe.
Well, do either of you guys do pre-interviews with your guests?
I always
don't
pre-interviews with mine because especially when it was somebody that I was interested in, because I took that's just my style, but I would take notes and find like touch points to go back on once we do have our conversation on live. Plus for me, it helped them establish a level of comfortability with me being on camera and knowing how I'm going to approach our conversation.
Sure.
So there are a few that we didn't do it because one reason or another, but those were the ones that I'm pretty sure 9 times out of 10 we struggled to get them to open up. And even as a really active interviewer in trying to pull out as much information as you can, that's a very hard sell sometimes for some people who don't do that. That's why I always suggest,
a personal challenge of mine.
Well, if you enjoy challenges, there you go. But as a rule of thumb, that I would always coach people, hey, these tools that we're using now, you can book. I always used to send out the link to go. So here's how it did with the process with me. I would book the pre-interview, and in the moment that they finished up, in the follow-up email, it gave you the link to book the live interview afterwards. Because there were some interviews where people like, I don't think I can do this. Cool, no worries. I had a conversation that was cool. I took out a few good things of what I've learned from you, and if you book, you book. If you didn't, thank you so much. It would send you a thing to get feedback on reviews on whether or not you enjoyed your experience, and then move forward.
Yeah.
But I suggest them for a lot of individuals who are just starting out in this process of doing it is because you can integrate things. You can integrate your dub into it. You can integrate Zoom into these things. So when you do that, it instantly, like mine, instantly sends a Zoom link to people.
Well, I really love, after the show, a lot of times I'll do a dub video or send out updates or, do introductions, to other people using a dub video. And that's incredibly powerful. And it still uses, it still associates the video with the live streaming opportunities that you have. And I think it's really important for people to kind of relate to, okay, he's doing live streaming and he's communicating with video. And I think that that's really a powerful piece. And I wanted to tag on something that you had mentioned previously, Tim, about Wave, because they're doing some incredible work. A Headliner is another tool that I really like to watch their evolution. And so, but maybe you could expand on what you were thinking about Wave and how that fits into your equation.
Yeah, so I was just thinking about Wave is in the process of releasing a live streaming tool. It's web-based, but what's pretty cool about it is that it seems to have very similar functionality to, I would equate it probably most similarly to like Ecamm or OBS, in that it has more creative functionality, but it's web-based.
That's
that's
the goal.
So they had just announced it the other day. I think it was on Friday, maybe. Did you guys see the announcement?
I didn't see the announcement.
Okay, yeah. So they opened up. You can sign up for beta. It's going to be gradually rolling out. So I was just wondering if you guys had heard about it, or
I heard about it
at all. Yeah.
I heard about it, but I hadn't seen it. Another one that I've been watching is Melon.
Yeah.
So that's another one that is out there evolving.
That's another web-based one, right, Russ?
Yep, it's another web-based one. So, I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And like Gabe alluded to earlier, we're just at the tip of it. We're just at the starting line of this thing. And the more value and the more people we can get involved and engaged in this process, the more the community can grow, the networks will build and evolve. And that's why I keep, talking about the Pirate Syndicate and looking for contributors that believe in the kindness is cool, and smiles are free, and we can help each other out. And it's an abundance scenario rather than a scarcity mindset, and help as many people along their journey as possible. Because, my style, your style, and Gabe's style we're all unique. We all have different experiences and perspectives and information that we can share. So it's not like, we're cutting into each other's business. It's more like we're creating each other's business. So I just want to put that out there and make sure that everybody understands that it's it's a big world.
Not just only that, Russ, but much to what we all have done here as individuals, right? We're actually bringing together a lot of solutions, right? In between, I find it that whenever I have these sort of conversations with my peers, there's a lot of things that I might overlook. And those are a lot of the things that were something like what you're mentioning now with Wave. I'm literally like so intrigued because I love it, that it's fact that it's a web-based solution. Because again, if I can put everything on their servers and not mine, boy, I'm celebrating and I'm doing happy dances, because now you open my level of creativity to new heights that I couldn't even imagine, and I don't even have to worry about it struggling through my CPUs, and I don't need to do it. I can put it on what they need to do. And to me, that's where, again, the value, the magic, and all this stuff that we're talking about here all comes together. And what we do as educators and instructors, that's where I think where we have the opportunity to not only elevate the content creators that we're bringing in the fold, but we elevate ourselves. We're continuously learning. And
just like this slide says, imagine engaging with value, creating referrals in an instant, create introductions, develop your authority, create more visibility. and just 1% improvement every single day, and find your groove. What Gabe likes to do and what Tim likes to do and what I like to do is all a little different, so if we find our groove and we complement each other and we help each other and support each other, it's like a mastermind that's continuing to, create that flywheel effect of adding value and creating more value with the things that we're adding to the flywheel.
Mm-hmm.
And then share that value with the community. And the people that want to show up, there's either, two ways of looking at it. You either add value and you want to be a producer that helps create the shows for other people, or you want to be a host or a guest and be on the other side of the camera. There's no right answer. There's no right process. So I just want to make sure that we're amplifying that message and announcing it, that's what we're going to be doing over in the Pirate Syndicate, is helping both sides of that equation take place.
Right. And then we're pushing, I'm really pushing a lot of that going into this into 2022, because the expansion that I'm seeing that's actually happening and developing right before our own eyes. Gentlemen, we've put in the time and the effort to establish ourselves to this point, and I want to make sure that everybody who's been there, who's been doing the work day in and day out, get a piece of all of this, because there's, like I said, I've pushed collaboration, which is a lot of the purpose that I'm shooting for, to a whole nother level from point A. So I'm bringing in, and I'm going to make this announcement, so I might as well make it now if anybody's watching. But breaking news, here we go.
Breaking news.
So if you're already connected in our LinkedIn live stream groups, this is why I spur collaboration. I'm going to start introducing certified guests. So there we go. We got the breaking news. There we go. Breaking news, folks.
I love you, Tim. I love you. It's like awesome.
Showing up with the tools. Here we go.
Yeah. All right. Let's make it.
So we're gonna have certified. We're gonna have certified guests who are actually showing up in this group of creators. So this is why I've built this group of live streamers who are out there producing these shows together, because now, when there's individuals who want to come on these shows and we're pretty much building a circuit here of saying, I want to go on XYZ show because they're really going to touch points of what I'm trying to do as a speaker, as an author, as a business development, as a whatever it is, life coach, however that is. Mm-hmm. So the idea is to bring in certified guests who have everything that a producer or creator would need from these guests. So it's essentially, instead of us having to use these tools, right? These tools that we're talking about, I'm actually having these guests who are now entering into this program to provide all of that for us. So you're getting a bio, you're getting the biopic, you're getting links to every single social media account they have. You're getting links to shows and previous interviews that they've been on here. You're getting, also, I'm having them fill out forms to say, if you're coming on the show, that I can use your likeness and your image for the purpose of repurposing content.
Teach them how to be a better
teaching them how to be better guests, and then how to actually use our host to kind of put their message out there. And then our hosts are also being able to get guests who have, again, been on other shows possibly and been on a circuit and know how to actually conduct an interview. So there's a different level of comfortability there when people come on here. So these are people, again, who've been on podcasts, who have been on other shows, but they're trying to get out there, out to a whole other network. Yeah.
Here's a quick tip for that.
Ooh, love quick tips. This is
the bio.
Yeah.
So you can say, access my bio.
Mm-hmm.
and then it's right there.
There you go. So I'm actually asking these guys to give our what we call in the business one sheets. So I'm asking these guys to come out I want everybody to come with their one sheet that has all of that information. And then again, I'm having to make sure that we cover our basics as far as like hosts and saying, if I want to repurpose this content afterward because it was a great interview, I don't have to worry. I have the form here. You guys have filled it out. So I want to start pinning these in the chat there so people can actually go start reaching out to these guests. And here's the thing, I let all of these guests who coming in here into this, or the booking agents that are handling these individuals, know that if any of the creators, I don't care if they have 50 followers, I don't care if they have 10, 20, 30,000 followers that they go through and that's their audience. If one of them reaches out and wants you on the show, you take their booking, you put it through. And I think it's going to be a way to bring together host and guest and just spur another level of collaboration and allow, because here's the thing, this is why they're going to find value in it, because if these guests go out, they have to actually start reaching out to people.
Yeah.
Hey, and I'm going to tell you what, I've had plenty of them reach out to me, but guess what? I only have one show. I only have a limited amount of guests, but guess what? If I have new creators that are coming here and are looking for guests, guess what? I got a way for you to get instant guests, all the information, everything that you're going to need to have a guest come on your show and book. And
Chris Stone.
There you go. That's another one.
Hey, Chris.
but
Marcia,
huge in spurring a collaboration. In allowing people to come in here and get the opportunity to, what better place in a place that already has 100 and growing live stream creators by the moment. So if you're looking for ways to get out there, guess what? I've provided you a way to get out there. Host, if you're creators, if you're looking to find people to have on your shows, you have a way now that has everything that you need. So you don't have to go searching, looking. I'm trying to simplify the process for all parties involved, and that's just another way to bring on more collaborations. And then at that point, the next step in that evolution is now, well, this is going to play into what we do as remote producers at some point. But I think I'm not. I just let that one slip out of the bag. But I'll let you guys know about what this other idea that have wanted to put together for the remote producer.
And here's that's the beauty of your talents. That's a perfect example of where your talents shine, Gabe, is the engagement piece of how you can actually become a better guest, more effective guest, and actually set the bar to a certain level that every host understands what that means and what that indicates. The same thing that I'm doing with Winject, and some of the community activity over there. And we're just barely getting started over there, but there's some amazing talented people that are creating shows on Winject and putting that in place. And I know that there's even more on the way. So it's just a matter of bringing the talent up to the level of production.
Anybody intrigued in doing remote producing or getting started in the process, you're going to love a lot of what's about to evolve.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stuff that I'm pushing towards to get that out there, because there have been trailblazers out there that have been doing this stuff for a while, like people like Stephanie Lou, who I always talk about. To me, she's the queen of doing a lot of these things, and she does them well. So I go back and I follow a lot of her information, her path. I've learned things from her, but now I'm adding my spin to them to sort of elevate that to a whole nother level. Because I want to see this. I want to see this field that we're in develop even more than where it already did in 2020, helped establish that. 2022 is going to help that expand to even more. So here
well,
we
did
go.
you see Chris? Speaking of Chris Stone, that's another one that he's a great producer. That
Thank you.
Jim and Chris are doing some awesome stuff over on Amazon as well.
Yeah,
they're doing. They were on the Hop-In event the other day that they were able to share some news about what they were doing.
Yeah,
and why they were doing it, how they were doing it. So it's all around just a huge wealth of opportunity here that I think it's really important for us to be able to share that information and grow the community out. And that's the foundation of what we've talked about, Gabe.
Tonight
How can we do it?
This is the genesis of starting something a lot bigger. So 2022 is going to be a very, very big year for live streaming here on this platform, and for the talent who wants to get on here, the individuals who are seeking to develop their skill sets, and to those who have skill sets who want to sort of evolve those even more and elevate those opportunities. That's just going to come together so much more easier. And I don't think any better group than what that is for individuals like us who help facilitate that.
Yeah.
Because
you have an open invitation too, Tim.
Yeah, anytime, because
I appreciate that.
That's why I always say Mr. Super Producer. I gotta.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and I do have to run soon, guys. But I do.
Well, I think we all do.
Yeah, I think we all do.
I do want to say that Gabe is going to be our guest on the Tim and Jim show next Wednesday at 11 o'clock Eastern time. So.
All right.
Join us for more super producer Gabe goodness.
Next I'm gonna believe me, I'm gonna be picking Jim's mind like crazy. I've been meaning to get into.
Wait, you're gonna be our guest. I thought we're gonna be picking your mind.
That's
this is what happens when you have multiple hosts on screen at the same time, right? It goes around and around and around.
Well, that's part of it. Is how they love the.
So, what other shows you got coming up, Tim? Share whatever you got.
Sure, I appreciate that. So on Tuesday at 8 o'clock Eastern, showing up perspectives on cancer, we have Rob Statham's going to be on the show, and I don't know if you guys know or not, but his dad passed of leukemia, and his twin sister also passed of cancer. So he's going to be talking about their journeys as well as his perspective on cancer. So definitely show up to support him on that show. Really grateful, and want to shout out my amazing co-host and producer on that show, Kara Ulker. She's been doing an amazing job. She's also done all the branding for the show, and just an amazing person to work with over there. Yeah, so that show, and then with super producer Gabe Leal on next Wednesday. Those are the two shows I'm producing, and then Monday I also produced Veronica Jean's show at 1 o'clock Eastern time. You can watch that on her LinkedIn profile or other social media profiles in your neck of the woods.
There you go.
Good deal. So, what about you, Gabe? What shows you got coming up?
So, of course, tomorrow, me and you are going to be joining
Russ Hedge.
We're going to be on his show tomorrow talking about exactly what we're doing here, live streaming. Friday, I'm going to be on with Enrique Acosta Gonzalez. We're going to be on his Aloha Friday. That'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern, where I'll be doing there on his show. And then I'll be doing my own show that Friday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern with Mr. Travis Lochner. We're going to be talking about promotion over production. We're going to be covering that topic for his show. And then, of course, following the next week, I will be on with Tim and Jim on their show on Wednesday. And I believe that will wrap up everything that I have for live stream shows for the year until 2022. After that, I got a lot of stuff that I'm locking down on to concentrate as far as like the educational sides of what we're going to be doing and creating the courseworks and stuff like that. So that's essentially what I've been planning going forward. And of course, guys, check out the daily LinkedIn live stream guide. If you haven't subscribed to the newsletter, it shows up on your doorstep. It has all the shows that you actually can go watch. It's pretty simple. I've actually simplified the process where you can take your phone or you can actually just touch the promotional photo and it takes you straight to the live stream or to the replay. So if you have the event there afterwards, you can just touch on the photo. You don't have to go touch a link. You don't have to touch anything else. You can just hit the photo. It's an easy one-step process. That I've actually shown you can do with one finger, and you can go watch your favorite live streams. And I do that Monday through Saturday as just a service for providing for our live stream community here. So don't mind the dogs, and the dogs they're here always.
Awesome. Your dog is your dog is ready to quit.
He is. That's why I said
So I have 7 a.m. I got the Pirate Broadcast Mountain Standard Time, Tricia Simone, and then I have noon with Chris Ross Mountain Standard Time, the Pirate Broadcast with the Windjet community, and then I have a course training session in the afternoon, I think at 4 with RJ Redden before I get on the
Russ Head show.
The Russ Head show. And then I have a doctor appointment. I got to take mom to the doctor at some point in time. So I'm not sure exactly how that's going to work out. So
wow.
Russ, would you stop slacking so much?
Yeah. There you go. So it sounds like a pretty big agenda you got going on there.
It just happened to happen,
Mr. John. Time. So
and next week's booked as well. So
there you
Tuesday
go.
mornings, 7 a.m. and Wednesday at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
So
there we go, man. So I think we got a lot of activity going on, but in a good way.
Thank you so much both for jumping in and joining on, and really a shout out to everyone that joined us. If you haven't hooked up with the Pirate Broadcast and the Pirate Syndicate, please go over there, like the page. I'm reaching, almost getting to the point where I can actually request access to LinkedIn Live again. So help me out with that if you can, because I really want to make sure that I get there, and I'm going to once I get there, then I can actually create some additional shows, and we can actually start training other producers and also qualified hosts. People want to be able to be in the host role for a topic or an industry. I think that's going to be super cool. So go over to LinkedIn company, Pirate Syndicate, and follow the page and make sure that you're taking care of that. So Tim, love you guys. Gabe, love you. Thank you so much for being here tonight, and I really appreciate it. Yes, love.
Hey, you got to say the line before we get out of here.
Because kindness is cool and smiles are free. And we want you to enjoy your day. Be well, be in touch. Thank you for joining the Pirate Broadcast. If you found this content valuable, please like, comment, and share it across your social media channels. I would love the opportunity to help others grow in their business. The Pirate Syndicate is a platform where you show up, we produce the show. It's that easy. If you want to be seen, be heard, and be talked about, join the Pirate Syndicate today.